This is your Barbados Today morning news update for Wednesday, November the 14th. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news at this hour, as Barbados gets ready to throw open its doors to thousands of visitors for the upcoming winter season starting mid-December, the Barbados Water Authority is giving assurances that the vexing sewage situation on the south coast will be under control. At present, the authority is still managing dysfunctional sewer lines that have necessitated a diversion of sewage to injection wells, while sewage overflows are going into the nature sanctuary of the Graham Hall Swamp at Worthing Christchurch, which has resulted in the closure of the nearby Worthing Beach. General Manager Keith Roy Halliday said Tuesday that repair work will start sometime this week on a second sewer line thanks to the importation of an expensive piece of equipment called a cutter. Halliday said the cutter, which another knowledgeable official priced at $180,000, is used to trim the sewer liner to make sure the internal portions are smoother or free from any protrusions or obstructions that could be potentially destructive.
The additional liner repair that we need to do will happen this week. Right. And as I said, once that is done, we can see a lot more return to normalcy because we'll no longer be sending sewage to the injection wells. We've got off that. We'll stop that. We no longer have overflow into the swamp, so that will stop. We no longer have to manage the beach as closely as we've been managing because all of that will stop. So we are at that point, we are at that juncture that we're very optimistic that we can soon put most of this behind us.
In other news now, there were reports of tension and anxiety filling the corridors, offices and studios of the state-run Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation Tuesday as a massive cut in staff hangs over the heads of the 230-strong workforce. Barbados Today understands that the tension has been most acute among a section of employees who have unofficially heard that their names are on a list that comprises the 116 earmarked to receive their walking papers possibly this week. Neither John Williams, who's CBC's lead negotiation with the Barbados Workers Union, or the acting general manager Andrew Green would speak on the matter, even after marathon discussions Monday with the union. A number of employees has been sharing their hopes and fears on social media and by word of mouth. Information reaching Barbados Today from the Pine St. Michael headquarters of the broadcaster is that anxious workers have been meeting in the corridors and discussing their likely fate. Some well-known names are being bandied about to go home. A leading local psychiatrist is urging employers not to suddenly terminate employees' contracts without making an effort to prepare them for the traumatic, life-changing experience of being sent home. With hundreds of public sector workers being retrenched, Dr. Ermine Bell said job loss can have major psychological effects on individuals, particularly those who do not know how to cope. She said this is why it is important that the termination process is done in a sensitive and thoroughly thought-through manner. Countries in this region that benefit from the Caribbean Development Fund are at risk of getting less assistance for critical projects in the future. Now, it's because the more developed countries of the Caribbean are not meeting their pledged contributions. Chairman of the CDF Board of Directors, Dr. Sherwin Williams, told reporters the fund could be forced to scale back on the number of projects for needy countries if those delinquent member states do not pay up their arrears.
We are approaching a point in our cycle when the replenishment of the fund has to be completed as a matter of great urgency. This is critical if we are to avoid any scaling down of our operations before the end of the second cycle, which is in 2 years.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
We're back with news from the region now. An Indian billionaire living in Antigua and Barbuda is wanted in his native land on charges that he defrauded the Punjab National Bank of $1.8 billion. Mahor Shakisi is heading to the Supreme Court today to challenge Antigua and Barbuda's Extradition Act. More in this ABS News report.
He will be challenging an aspect of this country's Extradition Act, insisting it is unconstitutional. Choksi became a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda in November 2017 under the Citizenship by Investment program. However, authorities in his native India want him extradited to face charges that he defrauded the Punjab National Bank of an equivalent of $1.8 billion. The Indian billionaire continues to deny the allegations and claims he is being politically persecuted for the failure of the government-owned bank.
And on the international scene, teams are continuing to search for bodies as California's deadly wildfires rage on, with officials predicting the situation will get worse. We pick up the story in this Reuters TV report.
California's deadliest and most destructive wildfire in history only growing as of Tuesday, while 2 other fires rage in the southern part of the state. The Camp Fire, which has killed scores in Northern California, was only 30% contained according to the state's Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. Reuters correspondent Noel Randowich was with a forensics team searching for human remains.
I'm in the town of Paradise on a residential street where every single building, every single house that we've seen so far has been completely burned to the ground. A team of rescuers have just arrived on the scene. They are going from one property, I can't really call it house anymore, from one property to another with dogs poking through what essentially is just ashes and cinders and pieces of odd brick.
More than 200 people were still unaccounted for on Tuesday and listed as missing.
We've got so many people missing of our neighbors. Our neighbors are gone.
And that's news. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We are also on Izumi Media in-bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Now you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.